This is a political crisis. It's also a humanitarian one.
15,000 migrants and refugees on the Greek island of Lesbos.
The brutal civil war against a mad dictator in the European Union have left the lands of their birth in search of a more peaceful, better life.
Well, Turkish authorities have raised the death toll from the latest accident involving migrants fleeing Syria and elsewhere.
With around 1,000 people a day washing ashore on this island alone.
The island of Lesbos decided to put humanity first.
It's hard for me to remember exactly when I heard about the refugee crisis. We'd been hearing about it on the news at home for a very long time, and it's difficult when you hear about those things on the news because you know that your country plays a part in it and you don't feel like you have much of a voice. That's why coming to Lesvos and volunteering was so appealing, because you can meet with the people and you can really have a person-to-person experience and you can feel the humanity and you know that you're helping someone and you're actually doing some good.
It's in Lesvos, Skala. This is where main region where the refugee boats arrive, and that's Turkey straight ahead. Sunset on November 23rd, I believe. I'm Brian Doherty from New York. I came to Greece because I had heard a lot about the refugee crisis and I was interested in participating in some way, helping in some way. I didn't have an expectation of what I was going to do there or what I could do to help, because I don't have any trade skills, I don't have carpentry skills, I don't have plumbing skills, I don't have electrical skills, I don't have medical skills, any firefighting, anything like that. But I just wanted to find out a way that I could help if I could.
Hi, I'm Megan and I'm from the UK. Before I got to Lesvos, I didn't know what to expect with the refugees. I just knew that there were people that needed help. I spent a month working in Moria and my whole outlook on the situation and the people completely changed. I realised that they had been through so much trauma and that they really, really needed help.
When I arrived on the island, I had very little knowledge in a real way about the crisis going on. I never encountered refugees. It's not part of my daily life. So when you get to this place on the North Shore, on the island of Lesvos, where the boats are actually arriving, things are real very suddenly. People soaking wet, freezing cold, children, elderly people crammed onto this small boat that are half sinking as they're arriving, that I, with no medical or emergency training, might have to be jumping in the water to help stabilize the boat so people could get off.
Seeing my first boat come in, it was very influential to me. And at one point, someone just handed me a baby and said, just hold on to her. And it was the first time that I was able to do nothing except for just love and comfort a little girl that needed it at that moment. Amidst the whole chaos, a moment of peace in the storm, and it was lovely.
Working in Lesvos really pulled at my heartstrings because they're just normal people that have normal lives that have been taken away from them. And it was a bit emotional at times. At least I could try and understand what they'd been through. But I would just turn around and there'll be a bunch of kids there and all they want to do is play. All they want to do is make the best out of their day. And it was really inspiring and it brought me back up again. When you're in a situation like that, there's nothing left except for people connecting with people. And it was beautiful. And I saw it happen over and over and over again. And Lesvos was a really amazing experience for that reason. I think that's why so many people end up staying. If they had only planned on staying a couple days, they end up staying a couple weeks or a couple months. Or when you can make that connection despite cultural differences and despite language barriers and just really feel something that's real, it makes a huge difference in people's lives. And that's why a lot of people come out of that situation changed.
In the US, we're very isolated from the rest of the world geographically, and in a lot of ways we don't have to be confronted face to face with as much poverty or as much desperation or as much challenges. And in coming to Lesvos, I got to experience those things firsthand and helped me feel connected to people from all different backgrounds, and it's given me a humanitarian streak, which I think I'll continue for the rest of my life.
Due to the agreement with the EU and Turkey, the NGO I was working for could no longer work in Moria, and so for me the next logical step was to go to Turkey and help with the refugees settling there, and Brian was already in Turkey.
Things were changing in Lesvos very, very quickly. Talk of deportations was starting. More and more people were going to either be stranded in Turkey or be sent back to Turkey, and that the need for volunteers there and infrastructure and support for the refugee community here was only going to grow. So that really solidified my decision to come to Istanbul and figure out a way that we could help here.
In Istanbul, it's not the same setup as it was in Greece. It's people living in the city that are living in somewhat underprivileged and desperate situations at times. So you have to come and find where they are and how you can help them in figuring out their needs. So it took a long time for me to size up that need and to figure out how we could help with the skills that we can offer.
I knew the situation in Turkey would be very different as people are settling here rather than travelling through. I knew that it would be a different kind of need, a different kind of way of helping people, but they still need help nonetheless. So when I got to Istanbul, one of the first things we did was visited a few Syrian families and assessed their needs. One family had a place to live, but the roof was leaking really badly, which just makes it not livable. And so we tried to find someone to fix it. The second family that we went to visit was a widow that lived in a basement, and she really needed some help with money. So we bought her some materials to do some knitting, to make her own products to sell.
The first useful place that I encountered was the Al-Nokba school, where a lot of Syrian children who are coming there to this small school that's underfunded, where when I first arrived they couldn't even have the electricity on because they were so behind in their bills. I brought Rachel along and we did what we could to do little work in the school. We built a little fence for the garden, we helped play with the kids, we worked on getting funding to even just get the lights back on. And that was a great experience where we felt like we could do a lot for Syrian children who are happy to come to school and learn.
One of the other people that I met through Brian was Shahla Rahza, who runs the YUSRA Community Center. She has big plans for that center. It's located in the Balat neighborhood where a lot of the Syrian families live, which is good. So it will be a center where they can come and take Turkish lessons, English lessons. They can learn some trade skills, potentially create jobs for them because they need to have a livelihood. They live here now, essentially.
I met this woman named Shahla who wanted to teach Syrian children Turkish so that they could go to Turkish schools, so they can become part of the society, build the bridges with the Turkish community. Seems to be the best way that we can help and get things moving for them and for their situation to improve here.
I came up with the idea of starting a fundraiser to get some computers for admin purposes and at least a few tablets for language and research for the families.
When we first arrived, the center was a pretty big mess. So we decided to help Shahla clean up her center and get it up and ready to open.
And we said, yeah, let's go. Let's use our manpower, let's use our lack of money, but our helpful hands and get some things together to clean up the center, the space that she's rented here.
Once we'd done that, we cleaned the whole place out. We cleared the carpets, we cleaned the walls, we tried to keep all of the best furniture we could.
When we started our work, we saw children and community members stopping by constantly throughout the day. We recognized that there was actually a need for this, so we would work day and night to get all of the work done that we could within a few days and open the center as soon as possible. We bought painting materials, we bought plastering materials. We plastered all of the walls to get it ready. We primed the walls. We painted the walls, the ceiling. We painted the doors. We painted the frames. Everything we could find. We laid cement where we had spaces and holes in the floor. We were determined with Shahla to get the place set so that she could open her doors and begin receiving people in the community.
The most important thing that I've learned here is that love wins. And if we just set aside our differences, the language differences, the cultural differences, all the differences that exist in the world, and just find out how we can relate to each other as human beings, all the problems just fall away. And we can learn how to help each other, because that's the point of all of this. Whether it's helping people off of a boat coming out of the ocean in a very dramatic setting, or whether it is simply helping someone paint a wall in a city, those are the things that make life worthwhile, to help other people. So choose love.
It's really important that we all come together, because when push comes to shove, we're all the same. We're all human. Everyone needs help sometime. Some people just need more help than others, and through no fault of their own. Working with refugees really affected me as a person. Seeing that they were so appreciative and so helpful and so strong, it was really, really inspiring. That they'd gone through so much and they could still try and make the best of things. And working with the volunteers was amazing, because these people have just up and left their lives and given it their best effort just to put a smile on someone's face.
This experience has taught me a lot. It's changed me fundamentally as a person. I saw both sides of humankind. I saw extreme desperation, and I saw full open hearts of people doing amazing things for people they've never met and people they have no connection to. Overall, the biggest thing that I take away from this experience is inspiration from all the people I've met, from the refugees, from the volunteers, that if you can give people dignity and you can treat them as humans and you can give them hope, then it's an effort worth doing. It might be hard work, but there's nothing more important, and everyone deserves it. And I think I'll take that with me for the rest of my life and do what I can to continue that.